48 hours after I married Dorian Hale. He slapped me at his mother's dinner table because I refused to serve his sister a second helping while she scrolled through her phone. What he didn't know was that he had already made a worse mistake. He had called my boss behind my back and tried to erase my career before I even unpacked. I didn't cry. I lifted the bowl in front of me, emptied the hot stew over his perfect white shirt, and told him the next hand that touched me would become evidence. "Serve Sloane," Dorian said. His sister sat close enough to the serving dish to fog it with her breath. She had one earbud in, her phone propped against a water glass, and a glossy smile that said she had been waiting for this. "She can reach it?" I said. Dorian set down his fork. That wasn't a suggestion. His mother, Blythe, dabbed the corner of her mouth with a linen napkin. "Rovan. Sweetheart. We don't speak to each other that way in this house." I looked from her to Dorian. "Then tell him." Sloane finally glanced up. "Wow. The bride found a backbone after the wedding." Dorian's jaw tightened. "Get up and serve her." "No." The word landed harder than I expected. Blythe's eyebrows rose. Sloane's mouth fell open, then curled into a smirk. Dorian leaned toward me. "You are embarrassing me. You're doing fine on your own." That was my one cold answer. After it, the room changed. My name is Rovan Mercer. I managed high-risk software projects for a defense contractor outside Washington. And until that dinner, I believed I had married a polished commercial real estate executive with old-fashioned manners. What I had actually married was a man who waited until the vows were signed to reveal the rules. The Hale house stood behind iron gates in McLean, Virginia. All limestone. Black shutters. An expensive silence. Wedding flowers still crowded the entry hall. White roses browned at the edges. A gold banner with our names hung above the fireplace as if the house itself were still pretending. I had spent the afternoon unpacking gifts and cooking because Blythe said a family dinner would help me settle into my role. Dorian had praised the beef stew when I tasted it with him in the kitchen. At the table, it suddenly had too much salt. "My family likes restraint," he said. Sloane laughed, without looking up. "That applies to more than seasoning." I put my spoon down. "Do you have something to say to me?" She shrugged. "I'm just surprised. Dorian said you were ambitious." But I didn't know that meant hostile. Blythe lifted a hand. "Let's keep this pleasant. Rowan is adjusting." "Adjusting to what?" I asked. "To being married," she said, smiling. "A wife cannot live like a single woman forever." Dorian took a slow drink of wine. "We should talk about your job." "We already did. We talked before the wedding." The way he said it made my skin tighten. I waited. He folded his hands on the table. "After your leave ends, you'll tell Gideon you need a lighter position. If he can't offer one, you'll resign." I stared at him. "No?" Blythe's smile slipped. Dorian's voice stayed calm. "You haven't heard the whole plan." "I heard enough. You work late. You travel. You spend half your life on secure calls. That does not work for this family. It worked for you while we were dating." "We were dating." Sloane pulled out her earbud. Now, the show on her phone was no longer interesting. "He's offering you a better life." Most women would say thank you. A better life for whom? For everyone. Blythe said, "Dorian's schedule is demanding. I have responsibilities with the foundation. Sloane is finishing graduate school. This home needs someone steady." I looked at Sloane. "She's finishing a degree." "Not recovering from surgery." Sloane pushed back from the table. "Excuse me? You heard me." Dorian's face darkened. "You will not speak to my sister like that. She told me to quit my job so I could wait on her." "She told you the truth?" I felt the first clean break inside me, then not heartbreak. Something sharper. Every bouquet he had sent to my office. Every night he waited in the lobby with takeout. Every speech about admiring my drive. All of it rearranged itself into camouflage. I asked, "Did you ever mean any of it? Don't be dramatic." "Did you?" He gave me a flat look. "I meant what I needed to mean at the time." Blythe whispered his name, as if he had been too honest. I laughed once. There he is? Dorian shoved his chair back. There, who is? The man you hid until the paperwork was signed? Sloane slapped her palm against the table. You come into our home? Insult all of us. And act like you're the victim. I turned to her. Your home? Her chin lifted. This house belongs to my family. The deed belongs to your mother. The marriage belongs to me and Dorian. You belong in your own seat. Serving your own dinner. Serve her, Dorian said again. No. He crossed the space between us so quickly that the chair legs scraped behind him. I stood, keeping the table between us. Sit down, he said. No. His voice dropped. You think this is a negotiation? I think you forgot I'm a person. Blythe spoke softly. Rovan. Stop provoking him. I looked at her. He's standing over me. He wouldn't be if you knew when to stop. Sloane pointed toward the serving bowl. Just do one normal thing for your husband. I faced Dorian. Your sister has hands? Your mother has hands. You have hands? Use them. His palm hit my face before I saw it move. The sound cracked through the dining room. My left cheek burned. The chandelier blurred, then steadied. I caught the edge of the table and heard Sloane inhale with delight. Dorian stood above me, breathing hard. Now, he said. Serve my sister. Blythe rose halfway from her chair. Dorian. That was unnecessary. She did not come near me. Sloane folded her arms. Maybe she'll listen now. I touched my cheek. The skin was already swelling under my fingers. I asked Dorian, You hit me? I corrected you. Blythe said, Let's not use ugly words. I looked at her. Which word bothers you? Hit her me? Her face stiffened. Dorian pointed toward the kitchen. Get the bowl. I walked into the kitchen. Behind me, Sloane laughed and said, See? She can learn? Steam rose from the Dutch oven. I gripped the counter until the shaking left my hands. In the dark glass of the cabinet, my face looked unfamiliar. One side flushed, my eyes dry and almost calm. Dorian came to the doorway. Why are you standing there? I ladled stew into a wide ceramic bowl. He gave a short, satisfied laugh. That's better. Is it? Bring it to the table. I turned with the bowl in both hands. Blythe watched from her chair. Sloane held up her phone, pretending not to record. I walked straight to Dorian. He frowned. What are you doing? I tipped the bowl over his head. The broth was hot enough to shock, not hot enough to burn. It ran through his styled hair, down his white shirt, and across the front of his wedding gift watch. A chunk of carrot slid from his shoulder and dropped onto the rug. No one moved. Dorian's mouth opened. I set the empty bowl on the table. If one more person touches me tonight, I said, this house becomes a police report. Sloane jumped up. She attacked you. I looked at her phone. Keep recording. She lowered it. Dorian wiped broth from his eyes. You're insane. No. I'm finished being surprised. You assaulted me? You slapped me first? You provoked me? And you confessed before I even had to ask? Blythe rushed for a towel, but she handed it to him. Look what you've done. Rovan. Look at him. I pulled out my phone, switched on the camera, and photographed my cheek. Sloane snapped. Put that away. I took another picture. Dorian stepped toward me. I raised the phone. Try it. He stopped. That hesitation told me more than any apology could have. He was not out of control. He was calculating risk. I opened the voice recorder and let the red line run across the screen. Blythe stared. Are you recording this, family? I'm recording mine. You do not expose private matters. Then stop creating things you're ashamed to have exposed. Dorian tore off his soaked jacket. Dalatait. No. Rovan. No. His face twitched. He looked toward his mother, expecting reinforcement. Blythe lowered her voice. Sweetheart, you are emotional. Give me the phone. Go wash your face. And tomorrow we'll laugh about how ridiculous this became. I almost admired the speed of it. Violence became emotion. Evidence became betrayal. Her son became the injured party because his shirt was wet. I slid the phone into my pocket. I won't laugh. Sloane pointed at me. You entered this family looking for a fight? I entered with luggage. You supplied the fight. Dorian came around the table again. Slower now. You are my wife. You don't get to threaten me in my own house. I get to leave it. His expression changed. No. You don't. That was the moment I understood. The dinner was only the first test. The job? The serving. The slap? The demand to hand over my phone. Each piece led to the same destination. Isolation. I backed toward the stairs. Dorian blocked the hallway. We're not done. Move. Apologize to my mother and sister. For bleeding on the mood? Sloane said. You're not bleeding. I looked at her. Then I guess everyone can relax. Blythe stepped between us. Dorian. Let her go upstairs. She needs time to remember what she's risking. I held her gaze. I know exactly what I'm risking. Dorian moved aside, but only because he believed the house would keep me contained. I climbed the stairs without running. Inside the bedroom, I locked the door, opened my laptop, and uploaded the pictures and recording to a cloud folder. I sent copies to my closest friend, Maren Cole. With 4 words, Dorian hit me tonight. Her call came before I could set the phone down. Where are you? His mother's house. Is the door locked? Yes. Can you leave? Not through the front without a fight. Then don't announce it. Pack. I looked at the open suitcases from the wedding. Already doing it. Send me your location. I'm coming. No. Wait nearby in the morning. I need them calm enough to expose what they planned. Maren went silent. Rovan. This is not a client meeting. I know. Then stop sounding like it is. That's how I stay clear. She exhaled. Fine. But the second he tries that door, call the police. After we hung up, a message from my boss lit the screen. Gideon Price. Need confirmation. Dorian called yesterday and said you plan to resign after the honeymoon. Is that accurate? For a few seconds, I could hear nothing but the blood in my ears. He had called before the dinner, before his demand, maybe before the wedding. I called Gideon. He answered on the second ring. Rovan? I am not resigning. I didn't think so. What exactly did he say? That you had decided marriage and the travel schedule were incompatible? He asked whether your resignation could be processed without you returning to the office. My grip tightened around the phone. Did he send anything? An email from his account summarizing the conversation. I saved it. Forward it to my personal address. Already done. Are you safe? I looked at the locked door. For tonight, his voice sharpened. That is not an answer I like. It's the one I have. Your position is secure. No one speaks for you here. The relief was brief. Then anger took its place. Thank you. I said, please do not respond to him again. I won't. I ended the call and opened the forwarded email. Dorian had written as if my resignation were settled. He even asked that my final paperwork be mailed to the Hale house. He had not wanted a wife. He had wanted custody. A fist hit the bedroom door. Open it, Dorian said. I started the recorder again. No. We need to talk. You had dinner? Stop acting like I beat you. You slapped me. You threw food on me. After you slapped me, you humiliated me in front of my family. You did that yourself? The knob rattled. Open the door. No. Blythe's voice floated from behind him. Rovan. We brought ice for your face. Let us help. Leave it outside. We need to resolve this before it grows. It already grew. Sloane shouted from farther down the hall. She wants attention. Don't give it to her. I sat on the floor with my back against the bed and packed while they argued outside. Identification. Passport. Work laptop. Chargers. Medication. 2 suits. Jeans. Toiletries. I changed every password I could think of and turned on extra verification for my banking, email, and cloud storage. Then I found the velvet folder from the wedding paperwork. Under our marriage certificate sat another document I had never seen. At the top, in Dorian's lawyer's letterhead, it said Household Financial Authorization. My name was typed below a blank signature line. The language was simple enough. Signing would allow Dorian to manage shared expenses, receive employment correspondence, and move funds between designated accounts. It was not valid without my signature, but he had already prepared it. I photographed every page. A text arrived from him. Tomorrow you will apologize, sign the household documents, and call your boss with me in the room. Then we move on. I saved the message. Another came. Do not make me involve your parents. I saved that too. Be honest, would you have walked out that night? Or stayed long enough to make them expose themselves? I stayed. But not because I hoped to fix the marriage. I stayed because Dorian believed I was cornered. And cornered men often explain themselves when they think the outcome is guaranteed. Near dawn. I slept for less than an hour. Blythe knocked just after sunrise. Breakfast, she called. We are going to settle this like adults. I dressed in black slacks and a gray sweater, left my bruised cheek uncovered, and placed my phone in my pocket with the recorder running. My packed suitcase waited behind the door. At the breakfast table, Dorian wore a fresh shirt and a dark expression. A faint red line crossed his forehead where the bowl had struck him. Sloane stared at it as if it were a war wound. Blythe motioned to a chair. Sit. I sat. A slim folder lay beside Dorian's coffee. He tapped it. We have a path forward. I said nothing. Blythe folded her hands. Last night was ugly. Everyone contributed. Everyone? Don't interrupt. I leaned back. She continued. Dorian should not have lost his temper. You should not have defied him. Insulted Sloane. Threatened this family. Or thrown food. We can forgive all of it, provided you accept the standards of this home. Sloane added, and apologize without turning it into a speech. Dorian slid the folder toward me. Sign. I opened it. Household Financial Authorization. Beneath it sat a typed letter of resignation addressed to Gideon. My name was already printed at the bottom. I looked up. You wrote my resignation? I drafted it. You called my boss before the wedding? I handled something you were too emotional to handle. You made the decision before you told me. I knew you would resist. Why? Because you confuse independence with disloyalty. Blythe nodded. Marriage requires surrender from both people. I turned to her. What is Dorian surrendering? Her lips tightened. This isn't a courtroom. No? In a courtroom, you would have to answer. Dorian shoved the pen closer. Sign. No. His chair scraped back. I did not move. He planted both hands on the table. You came into this family with debt from graduate school, a job that keeps you away, and no understanding of how a serious household operates. I offered stability. My student loans are paid. Sloane rolled her eyes. That is not the point. It is when he lies. Dorian's nostrils flared. You will transfer your direct deposit into the household account. You will take a leave from work. You will spend the next few months proving that you can function as a wife. After that, we discuss whether you return. I let a beat of silence pass. Did you plan this before we married? Blythe glanced at him. Dorian said. We discussed what would be necessary. Who is we? My mother and I? Sloane cut in. All of us. We knew you would be difficult. I looked at her. Thank you. For what? For answering clearly. The confidence drained from her face. Dorian stared at my pocket. Are you recording? Yes. Blythe shot to her feet. Turn it off. No. She reached across the table, but I stood before she could touch me. Dorian came around his chair. Give me the phone. Take one more step. He stopped. I took out the phone and held it where they could see the moving waveform. You plan to remove me from my job? Redirect my pay. Collect my work mail. And make me sign authorization after I moved in. Last night, you hit me when I refused to serve your sister. This morning, all three of you confirmed the plan. Sloane pointed at me, her hand shaking. You trapped us. I smiled. I asked questions. Blythe's face went pale. Rowan. Think carefully. No one will respect a woman who broadcasts her marriage. No one I respect would defend this one. Dorian's voice dropped into a growl. Delatait. And we can still save this. There is no this. His hand curled into a fist. I watched him look at my cheek, my phone, and the windows facing the neighboring property. Again, calculation beat rage. He said, if you walk out, you get nothing. I brought everything I need. You think your little job makes you untouchable? No. Evidence does. Sloane laughed too loudly. She'll come back by the weekend. I looked at her. You'll be serving yourself for a long time. Then I walked upstairs. Dorian followed, shouting my name. I shut the bedroom door, rolled the suitcase into the hall, and headed for the rear staircase. He reached the top landing as I reached the bottom. Rowan. Stop. I kept moving. Do not leave this house. I opened the service door. Blythe called from the kitchen. The neighbors can see you? I glanced back. Good. Cold morning air hit my face. Marin's dark blue SUV waited halfway down the block. I pulled the suitcase across the wet stone path, opened the side gate, and walked without looking behind me. Dorian came onto the back terrace. If you leave, he shouted, do not come back. I opened Marin's passenger door. That's the plan. She drove before I had my seatbelt fully clicked. For the first few blocks, neither of us spoke. The Hale house disappeared behind trees and stone walls. My phone vibrated again and again. Marin looked at my cheek. Then at the road. Hospital first. I need a lawyer. Hospital first. Lawyer second. I have work. You have a bruise shaped like a hand. That shut me up. Aturgent care. The nurse asked how I was injured. My husband slapped me. I said, the words felt strange, then solid. The clinician documented swelling and bruising along my cheekbone. She asked whether I had a safe place to stay. I said yes. She offered to contact an advocate. I accepted the information and left with a medical record in a sealed envelope. From the parking lot, I called Tessa Vaughn. A family attorney Marin knew through work. Tessa listened without interrupting. Do you want separation? Divorce. Or time to decide? She asked. Divorce. You sound certain. He hit me, tried to end my career, and drafted papers to control my income. I asked whether you were certain, not whether you were justified. Yes, I'm certain. Good. Send me copies. Keep the originals. Do not meet him alone. Do not return for property without a witness or civil standby. Route communication through writing. That afternoon, I told my parents. My mother cried quietly. My father went silent in the dangerous way he did when anger made him careful. Give me his address. He said, no. Rowan. I am safe. I have counsel. I need you calm. He hit you? Yes. And I left. My mother took the phone. What do you need? Believe me the first time. We do. That answer almost broke me more than the slap. Dorian cycled through every version of himself over the next several days. First came charm. I lost control. I was under pressure. Come home and let me fix this. Then blame. You know how disrespectful you were. Any man would have reacted. Then shame. My mother has not slept. Sloane is terrified you will ruin her future. Are you proud of this? Then threat. If you take private recordings to court, I will make sure your employer hears what kind of person you are. I forwarded every message to Tessa. Blythe called my mother and introduced herself through tears. We love Rowan, she said. She misunderstood our family culture. My mother replied, your son's hand was not a cultural misunderstanding. Blythe tried again. Rowan threw boiling food at him. It was stew. and he slapped her first. So you admit she attacked him? I admit she left alive. Then my mother hung up. At work. Gideon moved my office access to a new credential, alerted security not to admit Dorian, and gave legal a copy of the resignation email. He did not ask for details. He only said, "Your performance review is next month. Personal chaos does not erase professional facts." I returned to the office with concealer over the fading bruise and a folder in my bag. Dorian had tried to make work disappear. Instead, work became the first place where no one asked me to shrink. Tessa filed the divorce petition and included the documented assault, coercive messages, and attempted interference with employment. Because the marriage was brief and our finances had not yet been combined, the property issues were narrow. Dorian still fought everything. His attorney sent a letter claiming I had staged the dinner to create leverage. Tessa called me. "Do you have the original audio?" "Yes." "Full length?" "Yes." "Metadata intact?" "Yes." "Then let him lie." The first settlement conference took place in a glass-walled office in Arlington. Dorian arrived with Blythe. He wore a navy suit, the same style he had worn when he proposed. For one stupid second, I remembered the restaurant patio, the candlelight, his hand around mine. Then he looked at me and said, "You look tired." The memory died. Tessa sat beside me. Dorian's attorney sat across the table. Blythe was not a party to the case, but she had insisted on attending. She kept a tissue folded in her lap like a prop. Dorian's attorney began. "My client regrets a mutual domestic dispute that escalated." I said, "It was not mutual when he hit me." Dorian leaned forward. "You threw a bowl at my head? After you hit me? You humiliated me. You keep saying that as if it is a defense." Blythe whispered, "This bitterness is not who you are." I turned to her. "You knew me for less time than it took your son to show me who he was." Dorian's attorney raised a hand. "Let's stay productive." Tessa placed a printed transcript on the table. Productive would be acknowledging the evidence? Dorian looked at me. "You recorded my mother in her own home." "I recorded my husband admitting he planned to take my income. I was protecting our future." "You were deleting mine?" He sat back, jaw tight. His attorney asked whether reconciliation was possible with counseling. "No," I said. Dorian laughed under his breath. "You always needed to win." I met his eyes. Leaving was the win. Tessa played the breakfast recording. Dorian's voice filled the room. "You will transfer your direct deposit into the household account. You will take a leave from work." Then Blythe. "Marriage requires surrender from both people." Then my question. What is Dorian surrendering? Silence followed. Blythe stared at the table. Sloane's voice came next. "All of us. We knew you would be difficult." Dorian's attorney stopped taking notes. Dorian pointed at the speaker. "That was private," Tessa said. "So was the assault? Privacy does not turn conduct into innocence." He looked at me with naked hatred now. The polished executive was gone. So, was the wounded husband? What remained was the same man from the dinner table. Furious that his command no longer moved me. "You destroyed a marriage over one bad night?" He said. "No. You revealed it in one—" He had no answer. The agreement came together quickly after that. No shared property dispute, no spousal support, no direct contact except through counsel. My belongings were collected with a neutral witness while the Hales were away. When I returned to the house, the wedding banner was gone. The flowers had been removed. My side of the closet looked untouched, as if they had expected me to come back and continue where I stopped. On the dresser sat the empty ceramic bowl. Sloane had placed a note beneath it. "You will regret humiliating us." I photographed the note, handed it to the witness, and left the bowl where it was. Months later, the divorce became final. I walked out of the courthouse with Tessa beside me and Marin waiting near the curb with coffee. There was no dramatic music, no crowd, no perfect line from a movie, just traffic, Apaliskai, and the clean sensation of knowing no one in that family could order me home. Marin handed me a cup. "How do you feel?" "Hungry." She laughed. "That's it? That's enough." My promotion came through the following week. Gideon called me into his office, slid the letter across the desk, and said, "This decision was made before your wedding. I thought you should know." I read the new title twice. Dorian had tried to force me out just before the company planned to move me up. I did not celebrate because it proved him wrong. I celebrated because his plan had failed to change the facts. I rented a small apartment in Alexandria with tall windows and a kitchen barely large enough for 2 people. The first night, I made beef stew. I served myself, carried the bowl to the couch, and laughed so hard I nearly spilled it. I never needed revenge beyond the truth arriving in rooms where Dorian could not control the volume. His messages became exhibits. His mother's excuses became a transcript. His sister's insults became confirmation. The job he tried to erase became the life that helped me walk away. Some people asked whether I had acted too fast, whether a marriage deserved more patience, whether one slap should end everything. I gave them the same answer every time. It wasn't one slap. It was the first honest sentence he ever spoke. I did not save my marriage. I saved the part of me they had planned to silence. So tell me honestly, was I right to walk away immediately? Or should I have given Dorian one final chance?